Ooh. Yep, that was working. I've got to check my microphone. Hopefully it will come up in a second. Hello everyone, I'm Iron Phoenix and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. Let's jump into the game, shall we? This is coming in where we left off, where Britain was doing not so well. Italy have decided to invade, weirdly, but they're not really invading en masse. It's like a single unit of infantry comes in and gets wiped out by tanks and by other infantry. So, got to work out what's going on here. Right, so I've got some free dockyards with I don't really have the oil to do anything with that at the moment. I've got some air wings that are not doing anything at the moment, but we've got air superiority. That's not really the issue. We do have air superiority, don't we? I think so. Our problem is naval. Okay, and then I've got naval battles all over the place going on. Some unassigned civilians and some resistance to occupation in Senegal, which is down here somewhere in the vast swathes that is Africa. Ah, right. Okay, so let's I think Senegal's down here somewhere. Don't really know. That's Sierra Leone. That's Ghana, Nigeria. Rhodesia. Oh, that's German. Madagascar is actually German. Interesting. Very interesting. Theoretically, I could... Oh, and there's Italy up here as well. Theoretically, I should really look at seeing if I can attack Italy. There's a single tank division there. Yeah, but they don't have any anti... Ooh, they do, theoretically. I'm going to try attacking that division. On the basis that they are only light tanks. They are owned by Italy. And I should have some anti-tank in there as well. So that'll be alright. That will... I don't know, just do stuff anyway. And then over here... do need to invade somehow. Ooh, paratroopers. If I could get some paratroopers in. Let's have a look at possibly doing some paratroopers then. I can do an infantry division of... Oh, wait a minute. Do I even have paratroopers researched? It would help if time was progressing. Okay, so at the moment I'm just fighting off the Italian invasions, basically. Waiting for my units to be ready so that I can look at attacking things. Sorry, someone's pinging me, so yeah, you might hear that a bit on Steam. Actually, I might just... just chatting to a mate in America who is playing Kerbal Space Program, which is a little bit of a crazy little game. I say little, it's massive now. I might stream some of that one day. We'll see. But for now, anyway, let's try and win this war somehow. This is a lot harder in. Oh, we've got another invasion of Italian troops. We should win that battle. But I might move another unit down. Just to help reinforce the south coast and Isle of Wight, which is there. And we've got most of the planes appear to be British flying overhead. We've got the Spitfire being researched, haven't we? Yeah, 77. Oh no, that's the. Oh wait, which one's that? Yeah, that's just the standard Spitfire. With the Folmar is the C version. We could probably do with some more oil plants. Could actually do building some oil plants. I don't think we've got any. That one would be useful. Get the 3-inch mortars. Rather nice little piece of technology. Pretty much back, a lot of this stuff, I've been playing. I've been reading a book by Bill Bellamy, who was a troop leader of Cromwell's during World War II. And I've just got to this bit where they have to jump a canal or a dike. 20-foot dike with 3 Cromwell tanks, and you don't really necessarily realise, because the Churchill, the Churchill tank got a fair amount of media about it, but actually the Cromwell seems to have been pretty much the backbone of the army at that point. Just masses and masses of Cromwell tanks, which are those ones there, and then the Churchills were heavy tanks. Cromwell's were the mediums, and so good for pretty much everything. Right, we're not really there yet though. I could do with some paratroopers, I suspect, so that I can, basically paratroop in, which leads to some interesting scenarios. We had the Bridge Too Far, of course, which was a mass invasion in an attempt to sever supply lines, I think, and it all went horribly wrong, as these things do. You just push up too far and get cut off, and ooh. So we got Fighter Command. What's Coastal Command? So that's going. Yes, that's going to increase my research bonus for fighter models. That's going to reduce. Okay, so what I want to do is the Coastal Command next, I think, so I can get some torpedo bombers. Can I build some torpedo bombers? Oh god. I need to go in. Oh, I've only got these. I really only got the Swordfish naval bomber. Let's go for my research. Yes, I need to. It's the Albacore, which would be my sort of reasonably decent tier, 1940 tier torpedo bomber. I think that's a torpedo bomber anyway. Yes, that would help with the effort to secure the sea. Let's clear some of these messages out. Ooh, really want them to. Oh yeah, right, okay, so I am actually building some synthetic oil. It's been a while, it's been a week since I've opened this up, so... yeah, if I could build some more like, coastal forts, might help. As well as maybe some little... Ooh, got no land forts, I should get some land forts up. Land forts all over the place, actually. The Admiralty, of course, being probably the most famous land fort that still exists in London. It's basically just a bunker in the middle of London. And so if all hell breaks loose, could I... Oh, no units. Control. Click. Ooh. I need to research transports. This might be why I'm having a bit of trouble invading. But I can't remember where those transports are. They're down at the bottom somewhere. Oh, is it naval? Ah, it's naval. 1940. Would increase my naval... Ah, right. Okay. I want landing craft rather than just transport ships. And that will increase the amount of... I'm going to just research that one. Yeah. Rather than doing paratroopers, because I need to be able to get these... get everything onto a ship and move them over, and this might be why I'm having some problems. So, control, click. Aha! Ah, things are happening. Right, I needed to do that, did I? Right, so they can now invade. They are now invading. Which is not going to be enough. I need... control click. Oh right, my naval invasion capacity is... I'm gonna assign those ones. Why not? Well, okay, so an invasion is happening now. Anyway, I've worked out what was going on there. I need more ships, basically, and my... Oh yeah, they're going to sort out those fighters. That's fine. I don't have much superiority, naval superiority, but I do have the air superiority, and that's kind of... It was really, really important have it getting the air. Because I mean, the ocean's big. Surprisingly, the ocean is a very big thing, whereas the sky isn't. Not necessarily. It's much harder to find a ship than it is to find a get the QF 6-pounder. I mean, if I could secure Ghent. Ooh, bombers. Bombers would be an idea. Let's see, I've got hurricanes. Tactical bombers. Close air support over there. They can handle that, right? Yeah, it's just on the outskirts, but they should be able to do it. Excellent. They may be able to help. Yeah, we're losing that. Oh. Yeah, we've lost that. They'll retreat anyway, they'll rearm, reload. and we can get them to go again. But thankfully Italy are having exactly the same problem that I'm having, in which case it's a case of just getting a foothold. Once you've got a foothold, then you can spread out, but I do not want to let Italy get that foothold, because they will start spreading out. I don't even really know why I have Cav, really. It's very... It's kind of reminiscent of First World War, where you have the horses and the tanks being used alongside one another, rather than the tanks being a replacement for the horse. I've probably said that before. But the machine gun was another thing as well. Nobody really took the machine gun seriously because it wasn't a particularly civil weapon. And there was this guy who was put in command of the machine gun division, basically just to kind of keep him out of the way. And this was back in sort of the time of, you know, red shirts and all that sort of jazz, and you sort of lined up in front of one another and shot one another until one side fell over more than the other, and then everybody went home and had a nice cup of tea, and wars were a little bit more based on what was gentlemanly and what was civil. And so anyway, this guy was basically, you know, shoved out of the way into this machine gun division, and the cavalry are doing their parading around nonsense, and he finds a spot where he can position his machine guns in such a way that he could potentially wipe out the entirety of his own unit. And when he tells his commanders this, they do not think particularly kindly of him, on the basis of how can you be so jovial about, you know, wanting to shoot your own troops, sort of thing. It was. And then, you know, World War I came in, and the machine gun on both sides, nobody had really taken it seriously up to that point. And it was only then when people really started to take it on board as being an improvement in a way. An improved way anyway of killing quite a few people per burst, you know. It's compared to what was around before, where you have you know, got to take the Hurricanes off and replace those with the Spitfire. Also, it might be an idea to create a variant of the Spitfire, considering I've got so much air experience. Spitfire is really nice. Right, so I want to be doing the Spitfire Mark 1. And what's outdated and in production? Yeah, I've got rid of those. So that's now... Yeah, we're now pumping out planes. Spitfires, in fact. Which were generally, you know, a decent plane, all in all. They had their issues. I believe it was either the Spitfires or the Hurricanes. They used sort of like a float to supply fuel to their engines, and in certain circumstances you could have issues with it. The engines would stall because if you were descending too quickly or ascending too quickly, you know, sheer speed, sort of incline, the bulb would sort of get stuck and the fuel would slosh around, and it wouldn't be particularly good. Alright, so Trotsky has been assassinated, and oh right, he's a critic of Stalin. Okay, so chances are the Russians have killed a critic, but at this stage of the game we don't really care too much about the Soviet Union. They're useful in that they are going to be, when they start pushing back. Here we go. Just in time, 1940, the non-aggression pact between Germany and the Soviet Union breaks down. Germany has decided that it needs to attack Russia. The reason being that it needs its food and resources, because so much of the German Reich has been dedicated to making weapons and making vehicles. Hello! They're starving, or they will starve if they don't get more food. So they're going to invade Soviet Union, and they're not going to make a very good job of it. They're going to get so far. They're going to really push Soviet Union into the depths, but I think at this point we say, hello Soviet Union, would you like to be diplomatic? I want to I would quite like you to have some vehicles. How about some Matildas? We can give you some Matildas. How about, I don't know, 30 units a month? And yeah, they're definitely going to accept that. Help is welcome. Yeah, I'm going to send them over some Matildas. And the interesting thing about this Lend-Lease stuff was that America sold their stuff over to England and they expected to be paid. Britain gave their weapons and stuff to Soviet Union. They gave them away. And oh god, I'm being attacked by Italy again. Got to kick them out of Cardiff now. I didn't see that one coming. I've got God, a lot of my units aren't really ready yet. And God, maybe we pull those down. Keep some units just generally around, but I think we pull these down. How did they get into Cardiff, of all places, to attack? They were mostly down the south coast. It's a little bit of a strange place twinned up. Right, control, click. See if we can do that again, hit Ghent, and see if we can get a foothold. Because I need to stop. There we go. Should have enough people in there now to get Italy out of the UK. They've come to give us food. Actual proper food rather than bangers and mash. Right, let's move those. Let's move that battalion down there and we'll keep these guys around here. Just in case. I might need to move my landing spot. I wanted Ghent because, you know, you've got the port there and, you know, it seems to be generally a good idea, but maybe it wasn't. One time Italy is doing something you aren't in Axis. Yeah. It's not very historically accurate, this match. Italy are attempting to invade the United Kingdom. Which is a bit of an oddity, considering the war. There was something I was gonna change my I think we change our, maybe add another support anti-tank, and a couple of units of infantry. Yeah, there we go. And maybe add some. I might be able to add a tank or support. No, I can't do a support. I could add a heavy tank. What have we got at the moment anyway in here? Yeah, adding a heavy tank might be an idea to my tank brigades. Or no, maybe actually instead of heavy tank, maybe more light tanks. Yeah, let's have some light tanks for the moment. So they'll reinforce, so that I can beef up these units and make sure that they're able to take on anything that I need them to do. Okay, so it's maybe we do paratroopers. Not 1941 yet, so we can't get this. Oh yeah, this is when we start getting heat, I think. I don't have any proper... Let's research that. And construction. I should have some oil now, so I might be able to, if I go to production. Oh, -4 oil. It wasn't quite what I expected to see. Can I knock that down? I've got more oil plants, but they're not. Oh well, 6 days and we get the improved mortars. I'm going to change that order. How do I? Can I modify it? Modify. Edit mode. Here we go. I want to edit that, and I want to take them into Calais instead. I think. So, how would click to set right click to set the invasion destination. Right, we want them to go over to Calais instead. And return to confirm order. Okay, so now when I do a, it's a bit funny that they seem to be going into the sea there, but there are no units assigned to this order. Control click. Oh, selected divisions. Okay. I really do need those proper boats. Ooh, what is that? I didn't just... That isn't my Ark Royal, is it? I don't know. There's somebody else's ships. I don't know. Anyway, we are now attacking. Ooh, we might actually get foothold into Calais. That would be good. And then spread out. Oh. Oh, right, yes. Chamberlain, we need Winston Churchill. Berlin's infrastructural troops. Yeah, my range isn't actually that great at the moment. I'm about able to hit France, but might be an idea to get the Lancaster. Let me see. Yeah. Let's research some Lancasters so that we can actually get some more effective bombing. The Halifaxes are all right, but they don't really have the range. Oh, I could get to Brussels. Hold on. That's a good point. Tactical bombers waiting for orders. Right. Berlin, you say? Where's Berlin? Western Germany. God. Southern France. Where's Berlin? Right, Frankfurt. Oh, really? Dresden would have been the place to bomb. It's Paris. I don't really want to bomb Paris. Not yet, anyway. Hello, people. Frankfurt. Frankfurt looks like a lovely place to bomb. We're going to do some nice strategic bombing over Frankfurt, over Western Germany in general. That'll be nice. And then the Wellingtons are doing over there. We've got some sea gladiators. Just kind of probably should be doing some interception. And I also should be constructing some more radar. Maybe some infrastructure as well. Research, I probably should just, yeah, okay, and accelerate time. Ooh, missing equipment production. What are we missing? Anti-tank. Oh, don't we have, wait, why are we still producing those hurricanes? Take those out. Yep, take out that one. So anti-tank. And there's it. Yeah. Okay. Should be okay now. And I need. So I need landing craft to do some big sort of invasions. Stop. Yeah. Alright. Greece has now joined allies. Excellent. This war is still going on. I'm on the wrong map. The UI could do with a little bit of work. Can I control? I need to get the foothold, and then I should be able to just transport that entire unit down there. How long? Another 5 days, and then we should have a nice little foothold there, hopefully, and then push out. Why can't I transport them down there? Just gonna go straight for an attack of what I would assume is Dunkirk. Cannot transport to a non-naval base location. Is that not a naval base then? I mean, it looks like oh, that's just a dock. That must be like repair gantries rather than a okay, never mind. If we can take that, then yeah, should be alright. That's that one. Get the Albacore up. Get that one, because that's going to reduce my cost of making aircraft. I think that's what that one does. Aircraft production group grants fighter production cost minus 10%. And then that one, and then we'll get that one, which is the jet aircraft, which might actually be a little bit early for that. Quick look. Research. Jet engine. Yeah, so we've got 1944 to go before we can really... It's 1940... Yeah, 1944, and you sort of... 1945 you get the jet engines. Things like the Spiteful and Barracuda. Oh, what am I... Oh, Sea Gladiator needs to come off. And the Fulmar goes in. And we get a... Let's see what we've got. Limited exports. That would improve my factory. Minus 5%. Good Lord, more people are watching now. Hello. Just need to refresh my string because it's being weird. Dutch. Must be German. Insider joke, yeah. Let's get a ship design, I think. Naval research time. 10% for all of them. These guys seem to be reasonably decent. Oh, it does reduce max range. And that increases production cost. Doesn't seem to be that seems to be the best one. It does improve the speed that I'm going to be able to research my ships. Because I probably should be doing some more research in ships as well. How are my... Oh, they got wiped out. Okay. Right, the invasion of France is not going too well. However, the invasion against me has apparently stopped. So I wonder where they're going to attack next. I mean, they might try and attack Scotland, I guess, and freeze to death on the hills, or eaten by dragons. As we know that in the north you get dragons. As a Londoner, I know that anything north of the M25 is the north. So, and there'll be dragons out there. Of course, the M25 hasn't actually been built yet. So, yeah, it's this ring road that goes around London. So anything sort of north of this line here is the north, as far as Londoners are concerned. Ugh. Is it? War is 10% excitement and 90% boredom. So an awful lot of this game is waiting for the research to happen, or waiting for your troops to be finished. Not enough equipment to train. What are we missing? Anti-tank. We need more anti-tank, don't we? Okay. Oh yeah, because I added some anti-tank into my infantry units because it's quite likely that pretty soon they're going to be coming up against things like the Tigers and is it Tigers 2, and I think the Panzers have been pretty much they should have been pretty much made redundant now, but yeah, the Tigers especially, and Leopards. Are they not in yet? I'm not hugely up to date with German tanks of World War II. but we're going to be coming up against some pretty nasty stuff. So, and because of the game, we don't actually have any man-portable anti-tank. 1942, we get the Boys anti-tank rifle, which isn't particularly accurate, to be fair, but yeah, the Piat is your sort of the first proper man-portable weapon designed for armour, for thick armour, thickish armour, I guess. It's actually designed to have, instead of the Boys anti-tank rifle, which is just basically you're firing a large bullet at them, the Piat is actually a proper anti-tank shell that's designed to penetrate the armour and blow up a tank. Whereas the Boys anti-tank rifle is more for, you know, thin armour, armoured cars, that sort of thing. But yeah, so at the moment we don't have Millennium Dawn. No, I've been the only ones that I've been playing. Well, I've only been playing Vanilla Hearts-Fire, because Second World War is my sort of it's when war was still kind of war, I guess. Things have changed a little bit since then. It's more, you know, I mean, even well, I guess the Cold War was still well, it was changing. The Cold War, you have like the Challenger 2s. Well, the Challenger 2 was designed for the Cold War. It was designed for tank battles, and modern war isn't actually tank battles anymore. The Challenger 2 is pretty much hobbled by the fact that it's designed to fight tanks, not people. And the way that war changed was very, very sudden for Britain, and hasn't really caught up, I have to say. But World War II and Cold War is sort of my sort of forte. I find it a really sort of interesting time period, mostly because of the technology that was coming out of it. You know, we have the invention of the computer as a result of World War II, which later on the Americans claimed that they had invented the computer. It was only until the documents were released that it turned out that Britain had invented the computer solely to crack German codes. So I'll probably get around to modding it at some point, but the only real mods that I play are Minecraft ones these days. Or, you know, I do mod Fallout a bit, but that's only to actually fix the game. I don't really consider it to be mod. To be mods to actually allow you to have large settlements. It's the £6, wasn't it? The £6 anti-tank. Here we go. Improved anti-tank. Why am I not? Oh, I need chromium. Hello, Turkey. I'm not trading with Turkey. I really should trade with Turkey. Because as we know, you know, Turkey is going to be in the EU by 2020. This was... My knowledge of history is very bizarre. I learnt what I enjoyed, I guess. So, back when I was, you know, a youngster at school, I hated school. I absolutely hated school. But history, they taught us a lot of things that didn't really matter I guess. Things that just don't really lodge into my brain. So I can remember things like Hannibal and the elephants. And I can remember a little bit about Prohibition in, was it 1920s America. They barely touched on World War One. World War One was a sort of a more advanced subject. That the thing about history is that you just find the interesting bits out of it and go with it. And it was around that time when they gave us, I can't even say it was a book, it was a few pages pretty much on the Cold War. And I found it such an interesting subject, but a lot of stuff from the Cold War hadn't actually been released back then. It's only been quite recently that an awful lot of stuff about the Cold War has been official because of the Official Secrets Act. So learning history, you just you'd find the things that interest you, and then suddenly it's an awful lot easier to just learn it, to remember these little facts, these interesting bits and pieces about various things that happened. And Britain, I think it helps that we, in wartime, we're nuts, quite frankly. There's an awful lot more improvisation. So, a Cold War invention by the British was the nuclear landmine, which they would build about 5 of them and sort of put them in Germany somewhere, and they were designed to stop the Russian the Soviet Union invasion should the war ever turn hot. They were simply land denial weapons. They were very much like the Davy Crockett nuclear bazooka that the Americans built, and but they had problems with it because nuclear devices, they're very sensitive, and if they break, they don't really go off, they just break. They're quite well known for just sort of breaking and just not working properly, and so the cold was a potential problem. So somebody came up with the brilliant idea that within the nuclear landmine, this thing would be kept warm by live chickens. Which then comes the next problem is, how do you keep them alive? And so they included systems in there to feed and provide water for these chickens in order to keep these nuclear landmines warm. Yeah, oh, Napoleon, I think I did learn a bit of Napoleon, but I only really learnt Napoleon properly when I worked as a tester for a little while, and I can't really go into it much, obviously, but I learnt a lot about the sort of Napoleonic Wars through that, because you kind of need to know this stuff when doing that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think we did a bit of Vikings. I think we did Aztecs, actually. That was interesting. But I wouldn't be able to talk much about the Aztecs nowadays. I just don't really remember what... that information's been replaced by the really, really interesting stuff of the insanity of England. So... oh, we were nuts. Still are. Ooh, I've got outdated equipment in production. Oh, the swordfish. Yes, let's actually get rid of these little over-the-top aircraft things. Let's get the albacores in. Let's get... ooh, I probably should do that one. Oh, did we get... ooh. Yeah, we did Aztecs back in, I think, year 5. And it was sort of a whole big thing. I remember they did, they were quite advanced for their time. And so things like the volcanic glass featured a lot in their tools and weapons because it was so hard. But other than, and they did the ziggurat things. Ziggurats? Yeah, I don't know. Probably. But that was in a completely different school. That was in primary school. We did Aztecs, weirdly. They didn't seem to mind teaching us that sort of stuff in primary school. But yeah, if you want interesting stuff out of World War II, sort of topics that are quite interesting, Operation Chariot, which was the I can show you on a map, surprisingly. Right, where is it? I think it's down here actually. Saint-Nazaire. Where's Saint-Nazaire? It's somewhere down here anyway. It was a commando raid on Saint-Nazaire to stop the Tirpitz from being able to have a dry dock down in southern France. That's quite an interesting one. And the Arctic convoys as well, which went from United Kingdom all the way up over here. And yes, Germany didn't like it happening, so they got bombed quite regularly. And then yeah, that's quite an interesting period of time as well, when you got the Arctic convoys going over the top. Oh god, we've got a German invasion. Something's going on. Oh, a flotilla of 3 ships are going up against, admittedly, a slightly outdated fleet, but I think they should win that, considering it's what, 14 versus 3. I think that should be dangerous naval invasion. Where? Oh, down in British Raj. Oh lord, there's an entire war going on here that I didn't know about, between the British Raj, who are, there's India, basically. After England won the war, I guess, once the Allies had won the war, they did eventually give up India, because they were trying to say, well, we'll keep India as, but Germany has to stop being an empire. And yeah, people were quite rightly quite disappointed with this decision, that Britain would attempt to keep its empire whilst telling Germany it had to give up its empire. I'm considering a small invasion up into Italy, but I don't know how well that would do. Sort of fleet down there. I don't even remember the Aztec religion. Because obviously it changed when the Spaniards sort of came down and attempted to wipe them out, which decided to build a load of churches on their cathedrals. Of course, we've still got our own problems with Southern America at the moment. Was it Aztecs were down here somewhere, weren't they? Was that Aztecs? Oh, I don't know, can't remember. But yes, Falklands are down here, unfortunately. Where's the Falklands? Oh, it's Ascension. Oh, I didn't realise I had that. St Helena, I vaguely remember that I had that. South Georgia. Yep, Falkland Islands down there. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about Argentina at the moment. Just focus on... Oh, what's going on here? Stuff. I don't know, Africa is confusing, generally. But the German Reich is actually taking over the vast majority of Africa. Okay. We'll sort that out when we come to it. What's the time? 26. I can probably go on for another half hour or so. We're doing reasonably well. We haven't been invaded yet, and I'm surprised, actually, that the computer isn't being a little bit more aggressive with attempting to take over Britain. There's sort of been these spots of Italy attacking every so often, but nothing too major. Thinking about it, I should have an Ark Royal. Oh, in 5 days I will have my first Ark Royal. I just hated World War One in general. World War One is an incredibly confusing time period. There's an awful lot of interesting stuff that happens in it, but it's confusing as hell. You know, as I understand it, I only really learnt this once I'd left school why World War One happened. You know, some bloke gets shot by another bloke, and suddenly Germany and the United Kingdom are at war with one another. You know, these tiny little countries having little spat involve their allies. And then you probably got, you know, and then America sort of get involved one way or the other, as they usually do in these situations. But after that comes the invention of the tank and the evolution of the Caterpillar track to make it more reliable over varying terrain. So that was one of the big issues with having tanks, was that the agricultural track would slip too often, so they had to design an entirely new type of track to stay on the tanks. But they were only boring trenches. The trenches got a little bit more interesting, but only because England got involved. It's part of the insanity of the war that you had the invention of the tank, but you also had people who were experienced with caving, tunnelling, miners basically, miners and people who were experienced with laying piping and the like, being employed as diggers to tunnel under German trenches and then mine them from underneath, which led to a couple of rather interesting caverns being built in France, one of which has exploded since. The idea was that they would fill it with explosive and then blow it up and demolish things underneath. But Britain being Britain, destroyed all the documentation that said where these things are. So there is still a cavern full of high explosive sitting under France somewhere, but nobody knows where it is. And at some point it's going to explode and kill a cow. But, you know, it's under fields somewhere. Britain were quite infamous for doing things like that, you know. And they did it with their mustard gas as well. When the war was over, they had all this mustard gas left over that nobody really knew what to do with, so they buried it, literally, and then destroyed all the documentation that said where they buried it. And a lot of it has been accidentally found, which isn't particularly good. They dropped a load of it actually in a trench between Scotland and Ireland, and so whenever there's any kind of... Oh, you're Hungarian. Yeah, Hungary's a really nice country. I've been there a few times. Very odd, in that there's an awful lot of development going on, but really nice country. I did some theatre at school. We went over to Hungary on school trips, and yeah, nice country, and it's a bit of a shame, really. I mean, an awful lot of chopping up happened after the war, which has caused an awful lot of problems, especially in the Middle East, because you have areas of land that don't actually belong to the people who technically it belongs to, like the Kurds, Kurdistan. They lost their land completely. It got chopped up between different people, and you know what seemed logical to the Allies wasn't actually logical to the people living there, and yeah, the world changed a lot after the war. There's all kinds of countries here that you just, you know, British Raj, which was India, Iran, which you'll never go to these days. Kurdistan was somewhere over here between Turkey and Iraq. or at least the area that they referred to as Kurdistan. Which is why you have the Kurds fighting the Turks at the moment for independence, and then you've got all the mess in between that. Of course, Israel isn't on this map yet, because that was added later. But, game lad's good at swimming. You're good at a whole lot more than just swimming. Food's good. From what I remember anyway. That was a while ago, but yeah, decent food. I need more chromium apparently. Who would be willing to give me more chromium? Turkey. Hello Turkey. I want... I've got loads of convoys and I'm just not using them. That should help with my production at least. Can I... Don't I see anything? Well, I mean, at least you're doing... Well, I'll say at least you're doing better than the Soviet Union. So Russia's got this problem of having no warm water ports anymore. All their ports freeze over in winter. Oh, right, yeah, what was it? Actually going to get some anti-air up. And get some more civilian factories up. Let's also get some military factories up. Just queue up a whole bunch of stuff. Cornwall. Dobos Torta. Sounds exotic. I can't even remember the sorts of things that we had on our trip. The only thing that pops into mind were the chocolate pancakes, which were interesting, put it that way. Oh, and the chilies that I ate for a bet. Oh, that was a mistake. The things we do when we're young and crazy. Langos. One thing I never got around to talking about last week, I remember started a story about food actually. I never finished it. It was about Czech Republic, and I got distracted by, I think it was chimney cake. It's not. Ooh. And I'm probably going to get distracted again. Production costs. Oh God, get that. Get the bit British Small Arms. Yeah, I was on a hike from Dresden, which... Oh, there's Berlin. Yeah, they're a little bit out of my range at the moment. Frankfurt, I'm probably bombing to hell at the moment. Can I... Ooh, oh, that's how I see... So Frankfurt is probably a good thing to bomb. So where's Dresden? Ooh. Right, so they're my new fleet escorts. Let's get... It's ahead of time. Let's get these up. So yeah, I was hiking from Dresden Czech Republic, from Prague up to Dresden, and it was about the 4th day, so we were still in Czech Republic at the time. and we'd had a short walk to this place, and we got our food anyway for the day, and it was rice, we thought. And so we pour a packet of rice into a pot of water. What we think is savoury rice. Pour it into the water, and it looks very thin. And okay, let's add the next one, and poured it in, and it still looked very thin. It had one of those seals on the top. You know, those vacuum seal type things. It didn't really sort of cross our minds really that actually maybe this wasn't what we thought it was. And it still looked really, really thin, so we thought, okay, how do we thicken this up? Okay, we've got some beef stroganoff. We'll pour that in, and hopefully that will sort of thicken it up. And so we pour this beef stroganoff in, and it sort of turns into this grey mass, which is completely inedible. It's not something that you ever want to eat. And it turns out these packets of what we thought was savoury rice were actually mixed herbs. We poured 2 packets of mixed herbs into a bowl of boiling water, and boiling water, and then poured in loads of beef stroganoff in it, and it gone completely wrong. There were some nice Slovakians there, and they had a tin of sausages, and they said, look, take a photo of this. They weren't planning on sharing their sausages with us. They were just saying, take a photo of this. This is what you need to buy next time. Oh, fun times. Fun times in Czech Republic. Really nice country. All those countries over there are really nice. I've been to Germany, Hungary, Prague, where back then it was 10p a pint. Been up to Belgium, lots of France, Belgium, and not Liechtenstein. I'd like to go to Liechtenstein one day, but yeah. I've also been up to Thailand and Malaysia, which is currently British Malaya, and Thailand, which is currently the Siamese Empire. You don't really realise how much the world has changed in not that much space of time. Alright. Okay. I need to build ships, I think. All my fleets are really, really old. It might be an idea to get... I've got loads of... Let's get some destroyers up, and let's make what? Can I do 3 a year? Can I do 4 a year? I'm doing 8 of them a year at the moment, which should be pretty good. Doing eight destroyers in a year, and then 1940s destroyers rather than I'm probably using. Let's see, what am I using? Yeah, so those are probably 1930s. Yeah, I'm using 1936 destroyers at the moment. There might be a reason why I'm having such problems in the ocean. My fleet is really, really old. I mean, when I was in Hungary, it was a while ago, but there seemed to be quite a bit of sort of old Hungarian stuff mixed in with the new Hungarian stuff sort of at the same time, which I found a little bit strange. But there was also, I don't know if it's still there, but there was a bunker, an old air raid shelter that had been converted into a theatre, which I thought was really, really awesome actually. Really good use of the space. We did a show there. with the entrance. There were two stage entrances. The one that went straight down the middle of the audience, and then the other one went straight out onto the street. Which I thought was a very nice sort of quirk to it, to Hungary in general. I generally quite liked Hungary. Strange in places, but a good sort of strange. I mean, I don't really know much about Romania itself, I have to say. Only what I've seen on Top Gear, actually. Well, see, when I was in Hungary, I do remember a castle building type of thing. It's a very, very long time ago, so you know I could be mistaken. But it did appear to have a sort of a glass tower block sort of rising out of the middle of it, which, again, a bit odd, but you know, needs must. I guess it's kind of like how London's going at the moment, where you've got things like St Paul's Cathedral now being dwarfed by the Shard. The Shard? Yeah, the Shard. Okay. Oh, destroyers for basis agreement. This was actually quite important. So, America is now looking into helping out a bit, and in exchange for several of our naval bases, they'll give us destroyers. Unfortunately, the destroyers that they actually give us in the end are World War I destroyers, and so they aren't that great. But that said, they'll get ownership of a load of areas that I don't really need, all in all, because the war isn't between me and anywhere over there. I'm gonna go with it. I'll get some ships out of it. They might be clapped out things, but they'll act as a screen for U-boats, I guess. I'm sure we can find some use for them. Which parliament? In Romania, actually, was that the one that was on Top Gear? It might well have been. They were racing their cars under the Parliament building in Budapest. I don't think it's such a long time ago that I can't really remember where we went in the end. I'm gonna have a look at that actually. Budapest Parliament building. Hungarian Parliament building. Oh, that does look quite nice actually. It's very it wouldn't look out of place in Warhammer 40k. You know, it's that sort of very architectural craziness of cathedral-ish type of thing. Probably should do. What does that give me? All that gives me is a research bonus eventually for that. Whereas I probably should do that one. The Beaufort. Let's get 1941. What's the Rock? The Rock is the naval bomber variant. Just gonna do a bit of that. I have to say this sort of weekly slow play of a grand strategy is working quite well, and I'd probably look at maybe doing something like Stellaris as the next one. I think a slightly different type of game, but still in the sort of the grand strategy. It seems to be working quite well actually. Now I could potentially do that for another game as well, but on another day. So almost have like a grand strategy Monday type thing. I don't know, it seems to be working reasonably well. When my internet wants to be favourable and actually... Are you a fan of Stellaris then? It's a decent game that, actually, I have to say. Or might be able to see if I can dig out a copy of Ascendancy, which was a very sort of early version of that sort of genre of galaxy conquest and management. Was it on the Acorn, I think? RISC PC. Enable mission efficiency. Let's do that one. Get the advanced computing machines going. We'll see anyway. We'll see how long this one takes to come to some kind of conclusion. Oh, which outdated Vickers Wellington? Oh God. So got a load of research stuff. Right, Wellington needs to come out to be replaced by the Beaufort. We also need to start producing Lancasters, and let's reduce that one down. I don't really need to. I guess we can keep stockpiling those, and we can keep stockpiling the Valiants, but just reduce that down. And reduced that down, so we're only making 3 destroyers a year now, but odd. Let's get just that Spitfire down, and I can make 10 of those, 10 Lancasters a year. That's all right for the moment. I do like the Lancasters. More focus trees. Yeah, I mean, this focus tree is pretty big for what I've seen in games normally. When I first played through this, I literally went down this focus tree. I didn't actually move over. As a result, I got invaded by Italy, and it all went very, very horribly wrong. Ooh, and I can modify my government as well. That would reduce my... I could switch over to the war economy. going to do that. Probably should have done that before, but never mind. Gives us less civilian factories, but should be more production. Oh, yeah, but we should get, yeah, something will happen anyway, I'm sure. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop now. Done an hour 20 now, and I need to get another drink. So I think I'm going to stop here for now. I can't save it because it's on Iron Man mode. I'll just, yeah, it'll auto-save in some respect. But anyway, I'm going to stop here now. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and possibly see you Thursday for something else. But with that, yeah, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.